And hello everyone, it is 16th of December 2012, we're Throwing with Logic, and we're coming at you with our last regular show of the year, another live PWNage of the one and only Eric Hovind. Seeing as we started the year with Kent, we're going to move on to Hovind Junior. So we're not taking any calls tonight, just because it's a PWNage show, so introducing my fantastic panel tonight, starting as I've forgotten, John McLean, the Kitch.
Hey everybody.
Yes, and you sound nice and healthy here. And introducing the always charming Womble.
Hello.
And of course, starting as Mr. Schwarzenegger, Martimer. Martimer? I think we've lost Marty right now, so.
I think we broke him before the show.
Yes.
Yeah, he's probably gone back to the fjords of Norway.
Yes, I think the Norwegian winter's gotten to him. So shall we just carry on then or shall we just hang on? Let's see if Marty comes back. I'll try and get Adam back. No, he's not. All right, we'll just start with the video then, I think, shall we?
Yeah, sure.
Everyone's familiar with this. We just play one of Mr. Hovind's greatest hits, and if you should spot an error anywhere, just shout stop and we'll analyse it. And today's video is Eric Hovind on How Old Is It?
Thank you, guys. Welcome back to Beginnings. This is session number 2. How old is it? The Earth, that is. This little thing you're sitting on right now, the little ball of dirt that's going around the sun. How long has it been cruising around the sun? That's what we're here to talk about today. Now, there's quite a variety of opinions on how old the Earth is. I mean, you look in the textbooks, and we learned this last time.
Whilst there might be lots of opinions, there is only one scientifically demonstrated age. So I just thought I'd get that in there now.
And do we have Mortimer back?
Yeah, hi.
Okay, we'll just carry on then.
In session 1, evolution teaches us that the Earth formed about 4.6 billion.
Yeah, stop.
Yeah, evolution is not part of
biology has got nothing to do with geology.
Look at it.
As you keep reminding us, Womble.
Well, that's both myself and the McLean at odds with that.
Billion years ago. Is that true? Is the Earth 4.6 billion years old? Maybe the Earth is only a few...
Yes.
Ooh. Sorry, we seem to have lost the sound there.
Wait a minute, Eric. The Earth only a few thousand years old? That doesn't even make any sense. We know the
You're
Earth
right,
is
it doesn't make sense.
Because it's
a
not.
lot older than a few thousand years old because, hey, dinosaurs lived millions of years ago. They died 65 million years ago. And what about radiometric dating? Radiometric dating proves the Earth is millions of years old, doesn't it? And, hey, how do we see starlight?
Billions.
Starlight that is millions of light years away. How do we see all this stuff, and yet you're telling me the Earth is only a few thousand years old? Well, that's what we're going to look at tonight. Exactly how old is it? Now, last session we discussed the two basic worldviews, creation and evolution. We got the creation worldview, and we got the evolutionary worldview. Now, according to creation, we said that God made the world about 6...
Evolution is not a worldview. It's
No.
A theory on how biodiversity originated.
It also has nothing to say on the age of the Earth. Has nothing to say on how life originated separate. It's just him showing his complete ignorance of science there.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, he's just talking.
Yes.
Well, it's kind of more white noise, really.
And that's what I'm going to defend tonight. Evolutionists believe that it formed 4.6 billion years ago. Now, I don't have to tell you that what we talked about last session, how evolution is just a religious worldview. Evolutionists don't exactly like...
No, it isn't.
Going to elaborate, or is that your point?
No, there's really nothing to elaborate on.
Right.
We have to go to a completely different video to elaborate on that.
They don't like us calling their worldview a religious worldview. But in reality, that's exactly what it is. Evolution is nothing more than a religious worldview.
Bollocks.
They say, no, it's not, because evolution is based on facts.
Yes, it is.
We saw last week that microevolution is based on facts. The rest of the evolutions are not based on facts. It is simply something that is...
You are creating a false split in evolution.
What is macroevolution? Just a build-up of micro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's lots and
in
lots.
fact, I would say it's you only have evolution. It's just timescales. Back in a moment.
No problem. You going to carry on the point there, or shall we carry on?
And what's interesting
not really-
is that Eric's dear old dad actually accepts all of it.
Yeah.
He just doesn't want to call it evolution.
Pretty much all creationists now accept it, apart from just the word itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if they're willing to go that far, sure, why not?
believe. They say, well, evolution, all it is change. Some things change, and we call that evolution. Well,
Yeah.
if that's all evolution was, then we wouldn't have any argument, would we? I mean, because things change.
So stop talking then.
Don't they? Yeah, so if things change, if that's really what they're talking about, evolution, then we wouldn't have any argument. But I don't
Stop.
think that's really what they're talking about.
Good night, everybody. I guess we've
Oh, right,
finished the
yeah,
video.
we completely agree with him.
They're really talking about how all of life today evolved. They're talking about the Big Bang. They're talking about the Earth.
I'm going to have to
That's
stop
not
you.
evolution.
No, none of that is. I've got a feeling what the list is going to be here.
Earth forming,
Ugh.
cooling
No.
down, and it
No.
raining on the Earth for millions of years and
No.
creating oceans. Then they're saying through their
And
worldview, the
millions
oceans
and
mixed with the
millions
rock
and
age. Remember what
millions
they made?
of years. Anyone
Soup,
remember
that's
that
exactly right. And then 3 billion years ago, what happened to the soup? It came alive and found somebody to marry and something to eat.
Yes, he did.
one? Who
just say
says that?
Ow.
Who says that soup got married?
Yeah, and is there not multiple kind of theories as to, you know, where life came from? It's not just the primordial soup hypothesis. Kitch,
Yeah.
you can maybe help us on that.
As far as I know, there's a couple. There's the deep ocean origin. There's the shallow, where it's there's a deep ocean under hydrothermal vents. There's also shallow, could have formed in shallow pools. There's also panspermia, which I don't really buy or accept.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, no, that's a different story.
Yeah.
It's possible, but it's
I was just including that to be
Yeah.
absolutely. What's the
All right.
to be as just get everything in basically.
Yeah, Kitch is suffering the Hovind effect already.
Yeah. The
That's
soup,
really hard.
it's
But somehow
contagious.
their worldview looks at this world and says, that's exactly how it happened. I disagree. I'm looking at this world with the creationist worldview, and I see things very differently than those that believe in evolution.
yeah. I
Now,
know
a
you see
majority
them
of
wrong.
Americans believe the Bible account of Genesis.
Okay, we're going to have to stop there. That's
Thank
the
you.
old-
Really? Do you believe that plants were created before the sun?
And there was light before the sun was created. But this is the old, the majority of Americans believe it, but I'm sorry, that's not...
Well, I mean,
Science
technically
decided.
in fairness, there was light before the sun.
Yeah,
There were other stars before the sun,
but there wasn't day and
that's-
night.
not according to him. He's just stupid.
They believe in majority that God created the world in the last 10,000 years, okay? Very few actually believe in the evolution worldview, despite the fact that we've been teaching this for more than 40 years in the textbooks.
Stop.
Tells you quite a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah. It doesn't. This is a fallacy it's argument to popular opinion.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's complete bullshit. You know what? The majority of people back, well, 1,000 years ago or so, also believed that the Earth was flat, center of the universe. Germs were, diseases were caused by demons. You know, a whole range of stuff that we later found out to be false.
Yeah.
Yet still the majority of Americans hold to the creationist worldview. People say, well, Eric, the majority of scientists believe in evolution. Well, they're right. The majority of scientists do believe in evolution. But what the majority believes is not necessarily true, is it? I mean, it's right. It's right that that's what they believe, but what they believe is not necessarily right.
Stop.
He's just
Can we
refuted his own
replay this part?
argument. He's just actually contradicted himself.
Yeah, he's like, oh, the majority of the world believes it, but the majority of scientists...
they believe it, but they're wrong.
But, you know, this is exactly what he said. Oh, the majority of people believe in creationism, but the majority of scientists believe in evolution, but they could be wrong.
Yeah,
but they're just scientists. What do they know? The stupid. It burned.
Okay? Yes, just barely a majority of scientists do believe in the evolution worldview. But just because the majority of scientists believe something, does that make it right? No. You know, science actually has a very long history of being very, very wrong.
Yes, and that's the great strength of science.
Unlike laymen, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
And more and more and better, and we've got our better at what we're doing in science. Science back, but we didn't have the advanced tools we had back in Galileo or Newton's time. But as science progresses, we get better equipment, better, more sensitive measurements that we can make more accurate predictions and test those predictions.
And also science gets some things right. We know that.
Yep.
Unlike religion.
And when they get something wrong, they change it. But this is the other thing. They never just get like something completely spectacularly wrong. It's always just slight adjustments. And like those slight adjustments build up to big adjustments over time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
no, but you see Zulu, that can't happen.
Yeah.
You can't add several small steps to go a long step.
Oh,
yes. That just doesn't make any sense. I mean, are you saying macroevolution is possible?
Earth was the center of the universe. They used to teach us that big rocks fall faster than little rocks. That was taught for more than 2,000 years. And it was...
Do you want to know what happened? We tested those ideas using science, and we found that those ideas were wrong. See, but if you were to follow the religious way of practicing these, a religious way of looking at these things, you'd still be believing in those wrong ideas, because religion doesn't test their ideas; they just make up new ones.
Wrong. They used to teach if you were sick, it's because you have bad blood. You need to take out...
Yeah, and we also used to teach that if you were sick, it's because you had demons in you. Where did that come from?
As well as the Earth being the center of the universe.
Take out some of your blood, and you'll get better. And they were wrong. Just because the majority of people believe something does not make it right. Hey, if we were to go scuba diving, and we found a treasure chest full of gold coins. Yeah. And I ask you the simple question, hey, when did that boat sink? When did this boat sink? Could you tell me? Well, you could look at the dates that are on the coins, couldn't you? Because if you find a coin in there from, let's see here, 1750, then you know the boat sank when? Before 1750 or after 1750? After.
I just that says it to you about the standard creationist education there.
Yeah. Yeah, they must have put the coin there afterwards. I mean, nothing else would make any sense.
From 1750. So the boat couldn't have sunk before 1750. If we find another one that says 1827, now we've got a younger coin, and that puts a limiting age on when that boat sank, doesn't it? We have a brand new limiting factor. Then I find one in there that is from, 1859. Now we've even limited even farther. Hey, when we're trying to figure out when that boat sank,
can I stop it here, make an analogy? Okay, I want you to take this analogy, but make it more accurate. Instead of when did the boat sink, when was the boat made? When was the boat built?
Yeah.
Are you going to go by the youngest coin? Well, you can't really, because the boat could have been older than the youngest coin. Could you go with the oldest coin? Again, you can't really do that. You have to go by the boat itself, really. Or find a more better method.
In fairness, the question isn't when the boat was made, the question is when the boat sank.
Yep, and we have someone wanting to cut in here.
Hello, yes. I thought I would put my head in. I'm quite glad I joined at this point. This is the point of Hovind's presentation that I find the most abhorrent. In archaeology, there are things called terminus ante quem and terminus post quem, which stands for time before which and time after which, and they are the sorts of things that Hovind is talking about. So if you want to find out when the boat sank, then you do find the youngest coin, because the youngest coin had to be in existence for it to be on the boat for the boat to sink with it. Now, an example of, say, terminus ante quem, to find the minimum age of something, let's say that there's somewhere like Pompeii is buried by volcanic ash, and you want to try and get a handle on when that might have happened. If you find a tree growing on top of that volcanic ash, and you cut it down or take a core and count the number of rings, you can work out the age of the tree, and therefore you have a minimum point at which that ash had to have fallen, because the ash had to be there for the tree to grow on top of it. But as I think it was Hitch was just pointing out as I joined, if you wanted to find out when that boat was made, you really can't do it. You can't take it by the oldest coin, because that chest full of coins could have been loaded on the very day that it sank, and so the ship could have been in existence for thousands of years before that. You could, I suppose, take a look at the wood and try and get a date for the wood by dendrochronology or whatever, but of course the tree is going to be older than the boat, but also that boat could have been made from bits of other boats that have been broken up. But it's certainly true that you don't find out how old something is or how long ago it was created by looking at the youngest feature. You have to work it out, obviously, by looking at the oldest feature. Mm-hmm. Rather like saying, if you want to find out how old the world is, then you get my driving license, which was made 5 years ago, and say that the world is 5 years old on that basis.
Well said. That's what I was...
Yeah, okay.
Oldest coin,
I don't know what people
or the youngest coin? The youngest coin. All right, we'll get it figured out here. We're going to look for the youngest coin. The youngest coin, the one with the oldest date, but, you know, it's the youngest coin. The oldest coin, or excuse me, the youngest coin becomes our limiting factor. We know that. It had to sink after 1859 because there's a coin in there from 1859. Let's apply that same logic to the age of the Earth. There are hundreds of ways to show how old this ball of dirt is. Some of them show that it's very old. Some of them show that it's very young. See, we don't need to worry about the old ones, the ones that show it's old. What we need to worry about is the ones that show us that it's young. That becomes...
Stop. So in other words, you're going to pick and choose.
Yep. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Selecting the evidence. You can show anything by just selecting the evidence.
Basically, confirmational bias.
Mm-hmm.
Am I right in saying we have a Womble joining us as well?
Yes, we do. Welcome back. Womble, welcome back. Oh, nothing there.
Factor on how old the Earth really is. So exactly how old is this Earth anyway? How long has this ball of dirt been going around the sun? Well, the best way to find that out is to ask the guy who made it. Let's go to God's Word.
Stop. I know Eric is going to answer it as soon as Zulu hits play, but how do we ask this person realistically? It's not like I could just go on my mobile and ask him.
Yeah, but
the planet
also,
wasn't made by anyone.
Exactly. Maybe we should start by actually demonstrating that it was made by someone.
I'm currently reading a book as part of my current bit of studying that I'm doing, and it's all on. Let's see. I'm reading this whole big section where the title of it, Origins of Planets and of Planetary Layering. No. That's all I'm going to say. I could sit and read this book out word for word. I don't think my voice could take it though. But just no.
Are you still a Womble?
No, I thought I'd put this voice on for shits and giggles.
I didn't get what plague you brought into my room, so I'm feeling quite smug. But yeah, nice big assumption that the Earth was made and not where the Earth was created by someone.
Because I believe in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. How old does God say that this world really is? It's interesting. You can actually study this out in Scripture. What does God say about the age of the earth? It's in there. Check this out. I got to go through a few verses to let you know where I'm going here. Colossians tells us, for by him, that's Jesus, Jesus was God in the flesh, okay? For by him, Jesus, were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth. So Jesus was God in the flesh, despite what the Jehovah's False Witnesses say he was, okay? And Jesus said in Matthew 19:4, have you not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female? By the way, it was Adam and Eve.
Beginning of what?
You got to say that these days in our culture. I'm sorry, okay? So, in the beginning is when God made them male and female. Mark 10:6 tells us the same thing. From the beginning of creation, God made them male and female. He said that was the beginning, okay? Then we learn in Romans that death came into the world because of what? Sin. The reason we have death in our world is because of man's sin. Then we learn in 1 Corinthians that by man came death.
Stop. None of this is relevant unless you can demonstrate that what's in the Bible is actually true, you moron.
Adam all die. And Adam was the very first man, right? So get this straight with me, okay?
Prove it.
There's no death until sin, right? Let's try that again. There's no death until sin. Who was the first one that sinned? And who was the first man? Adam. So there's no death before Adam sinned. Adam was the first man that sinned. Eve is the mother of all living. Therefore, if this is true, we should be able to take the dates that are given to us in the Bible, add them up, and see how old the earth really is.
Also, can I just stop right here and just say, that's also true, then we to expect a horrendous amount of genetic deformities due to copious amounts of incest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, we could backdate something by anyone's random book. I could take Lord of the Rings and calculate the age of the Earth from the dates given in that, or the Wheel of Time series, or any other series at all. And we could backdate it, and we could come up with an age, and it still has as much meaning.
Hell, if you go with you could take this in the extreme. Go with the Metacolony of Harry Suzumiya if you want to go with that, and much better book, by the way. And as far as I remember, the Earth is 3 years old, and also a teenage girl in Japan is God.
A teenage girl in a 3-year-old world. I suppose that could make sense, actually. She just took a long time to get around to making it.
That reminds me of a
just read
Simpsons
the book.
Halloween episode where Lisa creates life in a...
On a tooth.
She puts a tooth in a glass of Coke.
Yeah, and if you accept the flying spaghetti monster, then you realise that that he's really, really busy with his newly appendages, messing around with the work that scientists do to make us think that the world is really, really old, because he's just like that.
Have you been touched by his noodly appendage?
Yeah.
Have you been touched by my noodly appendage?
Thankfully, no.
I think we could play on after that.
Old when he had a son and called his name Seth. So let's write that down, 130. Then it says Seth was 105 when Enos was born, plus 105. Enos was 90 when Canaan was born, plus 90. If you actually continue going through those verses in the Bible, those are the ones that cure insomnia. I know. So-and-so, we got so-and-so and so-and-so. Doesn't take too long before you're out, all right? But if you actually go through those verses in the Bible, they teach us some incredible truths. You add up the dates given to us in the Bible clearly teaches the earth is only about 4,000 years old before Christ. And now here we are, about 2,000 years after Christ. Add those together, and the approximate age of the earth is about 6,000 years old. Exactly right. Now, we do not put an exact...
This is the famous calculation done by Archbishop James Ussher back in the 11th century. And to be honest, it was laughable at the time. I think it was probably the youngest estimate on the age of the Earth that had ever
I think hadn't someone that's that was contemporary with him said something like 10,000 years at one point.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, the ancient Greeks, some of them thought the universe was eternal, some thought that it was about 1 million years old. But yeah, James Ussher, as I say, probably has produced the youngest estimate of the age of our Earth ever, and I suspect that not many people were taking him seriously necessarily at the time, apart from the fact that what he said was right de facto. But it does, of course, rely on one big assumption, which is that the age of Adam that's given in the Bible is counted from the creation of the world. I think he's something like 600 and something when he died. And it could be that it was 600 years since the creation of the world, or it could be 600 years since the fall of man, in which case we have absolutely no idea how long Adam and Eve were messing about in the Garden of Eden before.
The funny thing is...
But even if you had some wiggle room, it's pointless because the age of the Earth is just too small.
Well, yes, that's totally over.
I think I interrupted Marty.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because we still haven't established that any of this is true.
Well, no, of course not.
So that's coming, I believe.
Right.
Or at least an attempt, anyway. And I put attempt in quote marks. Gigantic air quote marks.
Exact date on creation. Some people try to do that. They say Adam was made 4004 BC, October 23rd at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You cannot get that close from Scripture. I'm sorry. We do know, though, that Adam was made in the afternoon because it was just before Eve. But that's the only... So the Bible clearly teaches the earth is only a few thousand years old, but in the textbooks today, kids are learning that the earth is billions of years old. Well, which one is right? Jesus said, he which made them at the beginning made them male and female. Was Jesus lying? I got it. Maybe he just didn't quite understand modern science. Maybe that was his deal.
But he did leave, what, 2,000 years ago, if he did exist, and whatnot.
A few thousand years old, not millions or billions of years old. The Bible says, in the beginning is when God created the heavens and the earth. Thou, Lord, in Hebrews, in the beginning laid the foundations of the earth. He made it that way in the beginning. Now,
stop. Yeah, we get it, move on.
Hang on, no, I'm just saying, his logic is basically a case of, if I write a book that starts with, I should have all the money in the world, and it suddenly becomes popular for some random reason, then I should have all the money in the world.
It worked for Dan Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of this magic, wistful logic of like, I want it to be true, so it should be true.
And the double line of argument is saying that, yes, well, all the evidence contradicts it, but the Bible says, doesn't matter what happens.
We might have to cast our minds back a long, long time for some of us for this point, but it's a bit like if you think about when you were in school and when you were very little in school, and you had a friend that you're having an argument with, and it was a case of whatever thing you'd argued about, and it's basically a case of my mum says it's true, therefore it must be true, or my dad says it's true. It's the same sort of logic as that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the beginning. I love looking at Scripture. I think that's all I need, but some people need the science to back up that the beginning was not billions of years ago, despite what they teach in the textbooks, okay? Textbooks say 4.6 billion years ago. That's what they tell us. 4.6 billion years ago is when the earth formed, okay? Now, I got to tell you this also. There are many well-meaning Christians that believe the earth is billions of years old, okay? Well-meaning, I'm not going to question their motives, but they're simply wrong.
Stop.
The earth.
Did he just say well-meaning Christians and include Gerald Schroeder on that list? Because he's Jewish.
Well,
I don't know. He did say well-meaning
Yes,
Christians.
yes, he did.
Did he
I just
list
seen it in
names?
yeah, I think he did. So I'll have to double check the slide when I see it again.
I just saw it on the. I'm watching the broadcast, and yeah, I saw it.
All right, so it's confirmed.
I mean, Gerald Schroeder is he's this physicist who's gone nuts. A nuclear physicist who tries to do cosmology, and he tries to combine general relativity and the six-day creation,
Well-meaning,
which is hilarious. But the funny thing is, in the presentation he gives, he's wearing one of those silly Jewish hats.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
I don't remember what they're called.
Is this the thing that goes over like the scalp cap?
the skull
Yeah,
cap.
exactly.
head.
So he's pretty damn Jewish. Just
So hang a minute. He tries to defend the six-day creation, but according to Hovind, he's an older. I don't want to say creation necessarily, but
yeah. His the thing he does is basically he tries to say that the Earth is well, the universe is as old as reality says it is, but it's 6 days. The time until the creation of the first human was 6 days in God's frame of reference.
oh, screw that.
And it gets hilarious. Yeah, in order to make that add up, he has to butcher general relativity so bad that even I can tell.
The earth is not billions of years old and cannot be billions of years old, as we'll see from lots and lots of scientific evidence, okay? This teaching that the earth is billions of years old clearly puts death before sin.
What?
The question is simple. Did man bring death into the world, or did death bring man into the world? Which one is it? The Bible says death.
If you phrase it like that, I'm going to go with B.
Yeah,
What you
definitely.
talking about, Hovind?
Because if you didn't have the extinction of the dinosaurs, then you would not have had the mammals evolving, taking over the way they did. So yes, we needed death, as in death of the dinosaurs and their kind of time of dominance ending, so that mammals could take over and humans could, end up be a species that evolves, and yes, by chance.
Another interesting thing about this is that they seem creationists seem to be under the impression that if there was no death before the fall, that means what? We had no metabolism?
I mean, no cell death.
What? Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't. Well, presumably we didn't. We knew that we ate, because it says that in the Bible that Adam and Eve ate stuff, so they must have proved.
Yeah.
They had to prove.
And
There's a video about this.
so if it's talking about death, then for them to have eaten, even if they were vegetarian, you're still talking about the death of those plants. Their living functions stopped.
You don't have to kill a plant to eat this stuff. But,
Well, you have to kill the cells you consume.
Yeah, you've got to kill bits of the plant.
Death reigned from Adam to Moses. It began with Adam. For by man came death. The Bible's very, very clear on that, okay? Now, who cares about the age of the earth? Why should we even discuss this? Why is it an important topic? Well, I'll tell you. Number one, the credibility of the book of Genesis is at stake. And
Stop.
Genesis is
Oh
the foundation.
dear. That would be a shame.
Yeah, kind of funny, isn't
He's
it?
absolutely right with that, because if they were hanging everything literally off the book of Genesis, which they are desperate to do, then if science is saying, actually, guys, we don't want to be big party poopers, but you're kind of wrong. We found out that the age of the Earth is this. Then the Earth formed in this kind of way, or by chance, and it kind of puts the damper on them having their literal interpretation. And let's be honest about this. It's the fundamentalist religious people that are putting science and religion at odds in this manner. Most scientists are like, yeah, so you're kind of saying that the days in the Genesis creation were like periods of time. I think you may be a bit quacky with that, I'm thinking, but it keeps you happy. I'm not going to get pissy about it. So they're the ones that are putting science and religion at odds, not us.
Yeah.
Foundational book for the rest of the Bible. Can the average person read Genesis and understand it? You read Genesis chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4 all the way up to 11, and you tell me, did God make it millions of years ago, or did he make it just a few thousand years ago? You're going to read that, and you're going to come to a conclusion he made it just a few thousand years ago.
Stop. If you just read Genesis, then you will have absolutely no clue how long ago it took place.
Yeah.
You have to read the rest of the Bible to get the context
Well, he said that
he was
earlier.
talking about before.
He actually said that earlier, so he's contradicted himself yet again.
Yeah.
The credibility of Jesus Christ is at stake because he refers back to Genesis 25 times in the New Testament. He obviously referred to Adam and Eve as real historical people that he made in the beginning. That's clearly what Jesus Christ teaches. Plus, just about every other book of the Bible refers back to Genesis. That makes this an incredibly important topic because Genesis really does become our foundational issue. And you better believe the...
Can I just ask the question? Is he honestly trying to prove the Bible by citing the Bible?
Yes.
Well, it would be the first time.
But
Just say,
this is according to... Let's just go with Jesus first of all. I'll just start with Jesus because we know that there's many more books of the Bible that weren't selected at the Council of Nicaea. Am I right?
Yeah.
So these are
Yes, you're right.
hand-picked books that try to fit the narrative. As far as I'm aware, maybe maybe not the best person to speak about the history, but I'll just try to make sense of it. But also, these were written, who knows how many years, who knows if Jesus actually existed. These happened,
Exactly. Jesus said it according to the author who wasn't there when he's supposed to have said it. So it's at least a second-hand account.
And if anyone has ever played Chinese Whispers, even in a line full of people, the message can get distorted in a couple of minutes. Imagine a couple of maybe 100 years or so.
yeah, I mean, I think most of the original biblical texts that have trickled through to the modern day, especially the Latin version, date to like the 4th century. The Roman Emperor, I'm going to get this wrong, Constantine. And then there was a massive revision in the 13th century, I think. They decided which bits they wanted to keep and which bits they wanted to throw out. That was when the Apocrypha was thrown out, I believe. But also just I think it's interesting is if Hovind is true that Jesus refers to Genesis that many times and claims that Adam and Eve were real people, then that presents an interesting dilemma for those people who say they don't believe that everything in the Bible, certainly not the Old Testament, is true, but they believe in the teachings of Jesus. So, because I think if what Hovind is saying is true, then those two statements are incongruous. So I have to check.
Care. Oh my goodness, they are sweating it if this earth isn't millions of years old, okay? I mean, they are in a huge pile of trouble if they can't get millions of years out of the age of the earth because, remember like we saw last week, if you kiss the frog, is it going to turn into a prince? No, but somehow they believe that if you give it lots and lots of time, you can turn your frog into the prince. So if you take away time from the evolutionists...
Yes, you heard that right.
He is demonstrating his ignorance of science in an epic way.
Yeah, for the record, humans did not evolve from frogs.
I think it may just be an appeal to ridicule. I hope that he doesn't know that he thinks that humans are directly descended from frogs, but you never know.
Their theory is over. It is absolutely done. The Bible even said, Jesus said, if you had believed Moses, you would believe me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words? Very important topic. Genesis is very, very important. Now, the Bible clearly puts the age of the earth about 6,000 years ago, not millions of years ago. There are numerous scientific ways to show how old the earth is.
Just had a thought. Isha, when he worked out the date, worked out it as being 6,000 odd years ago. And it's been about 100 or so. Has it been? How many years is it since he came up with that date?
Oh, I haven't got my notes to hand. It's been about 400 years.
Yeah, so it's nearly 6,500 years old.
Aha, I do have my geology note.
Wee.
Talk about yourself for a moment. Not that anybody really cares. 1654, that was the date of...
Oh, so it is 6,500. It is close to being 6,500 years old then.
Sorry? No, I mean, 1654 was the date at which Bishop Usher came up with his date, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, so but that's 60, that's 350-ish years.
Yeah. And his, if you want to know his precise prediction, it was, he believed that the Earth was created in 4004 BC on the 26th of October at 9 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't say where, what time zone it was 9 o'clock, but it was 9 o'clock. So there, now you know.
Yeah. Well, he was Irish, wasn't he? All else blames, we can just blame. All else fails, we can just blame the Irish.
Yeah.
But yeah, someone's just mentioned in chat, the X do say 6 to 10,000 years old. Just to give themselves some fudge room.
I'm going to go through as many as I possibly can with you right now, okay? So hang on, we're going to cruise through a bunch of them. First one, and I believe it's a great one, the human population. Back in 1999, the human population crossed the 6 billion mark. There are now more than 6.5 billion people alive on planet Earth. That's a lot of people. But trace the human population backwards and you'll find some interesting information.
My daddy had 3 children and I'm one of them. I'm going to have 3 children too.
On planet Earth. Back in 1800, there were only 1 billion people alive on planet Earth. Interesting. The human population actually makes a curve on a graph. Interesting. And it shows the entire world population.
It makes a curve on a graph. Well, of course it does, you moron.
Never. Should we give him a pat on my head and a sticker?
I think what he's trying to say is that population graph can be interpreted as a mathematical function, which
according to exponential.
Of course it can.
There's been aided by the development of modern medicine and modern agriculture and all the other stuff that allows us to not die so young.
That's true, Marty, but I think he's thinking it in terms of a very, very simple exponential function.
Yeah, but
either that or you...
Because there's a very big difference between a linear curve and an exponential curve.
Yeah.
Either that or he's just showing off the fact that he can use Excel.
I don't think he did it himself.
The trouble is, of course, that if he is modelling it as such, then it suggests...
It's another case of Mum doing his homework for him.
Yeah.
He's trying to model it as
Dad can't, because, oh, that's right, he's in jail.
What did Mum do, actually? Nobody's ever talked about Mrs. Hovind.
4,400 years ago. Not millions of years ago. We don't have enough people on Earth to represent millions of years of humans living here. You hear people say the Earth is over.
Humans have only been around for 100,000 years, 150,000 years. le modern Homo sapiens. So it doesn't matter how many years we've been breeding as rabbits, or not breeding as rabbits. We've not been around for that long.
No, he's modelling it on the assumption that we were there from day one, 4.5 billion years ago, which is obviously wrong.
Well, day 6.
Well, all right then, day 6. Okay. The other animals had 5 days head start. Oh no, they didn't, did they? They had about 1 day head start. But he's also, I think, modelling it on the fact that population doubles on a regular time frame, which it almost certainly doesn't.
Yes, I'm due to have my symbiotic...
population doubles every 150 years or something like that. That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just then you actually get the starting date that they're looking for.
Yeah.
Of course, you also get the problem that there would have been about 100 people on Earth at the time the pyramids were built.
Right, okay, I didn't know that was...
problem.
Well, that's another proof that they were built by aliens.
Oh, yeah. They got me.
In that case, why don't we just bow down to the Goa'uld now and let them come back out, take over? Because, the way Hovind seems to want us to go, we're probably going to be better off with them in charge.
True.
And I suspect we'll come around to this point in a minute, but of course populations are limited by the resources and space available to them. But I think he's about to go on to, or at least he's going to at least trash this, not necessarily say it, but trash it.
Overcrowded. I do not believe that the Earth is overcrowded. There is plenty of room on this globe, okay? Lots and lots of room. So much room that every single person on Earth could fit inside the city limits of Jacksonville, Florida. We could all fit inside the city limits of Jacksonville, Florida. All of us, right there.
So, I don't know if any of us would want to do that, but I like the fact that he's just thinking that we can all just happily spread around the globe. I suspect first of all, we have to remember that about 70% of it's covered in water. But
yeah, I'm due to develop my gills tomorrow afternoon. I will
the
eat
thing about
people.
The thing about the overcrowding thing, it's nothing to do with the space. We've got plenty of space. If we really want space, we can go and live on the moon. There's a very good reason why we can't go and live on the moon, which is that we can't grow anything there. And the same thing is true of Earth. We only have
You can grow rocks and rock dust on the moon.
You can't grow rocks. What kind of a geologist are you? Apart from stromatolites, you can grow those.
Yeah, I'm a poorly one. My brain's been mushified with my lurgy.
You're telling me. But yes, that is the reason why our Earth is overcrowded. It's not space, it's the resources. We only have a certain amount
and it's also, we all like to live in the same pretty places because we like to club together.
We don't like to live in the desert, for example, or in the middle of a glacier. But yeah, we have finite natural resources, mineral resources, and once they're gone, and some of them we can recycle. But also, we only have so much space on which we can grow our own food, and so that's what limits our population, and that's what makes it overcrowded. Many of us are living beyond our means. If you want to go and live in the Sahara Desert, by all means, be my guest. I'll come and send you a Christmas card.
It has over 25 billion square feet. Yeah, they're saying the Earth is overcrowded. Excuse me, you ever driven across Kansas? Or New Mexico? Or Arizona? Or Texas? Or South Dakota? Wyoming? Need I go on? Hey, I got an idea. If it is overcrowded where you are, move, okay? There is plenty of room out there somewhere else, I guarantee you. Now, the world population is very...
I was just about to tell him off for laughing at his own joke, but of course it's not his own joke, is it? It's his father's joke.
Very interesting, because at the time of Christ, there was only 250 million people alive. Wow. That means the human population teaches us that mankind has only been here for about, as you trace it back, 40...
How can something like human population teach someone anything? That just doesn't make any bloody sense.
Yeah, and can we also just, I don't know if you can, Zulu, could you go back to the video that, I don't think we've gone past it now, but there's, if you could freeze frame on that graph of population that you do. Okay, maybe you could trace human population back to the flood. What I like is that there's a nice little population growth curve before the flood, which presumably is based upon imagination, because
Shite pulled from his arsehole.
there really aren't any population records of any sort from before the flood. Even in Exodus, you obviously know about the population of the Hebrew slaves because it goes into mind-numbing detail, but that's all you know.
4,500 years, about 4,400 years. Not millions or billions of years. Cannot be that old. Hey, if evolution is true, if man has been here for the last 3 million years, as evolution claims, how many people should be on planet Earth in 3 million years? You do the math on that, and there should be, right now on planet Earth, 150,000 people per square inch.
Stop.
Assuming modern population growth rates,
And
which
ignoring-
one says.
And ignoring things like, the eruption of the Toba supervolcano 74,000 years ago, which nearly wiped out the species, to be blunt.
And
there's
things
several
like
bottleneck
bubonic
events.
plague and things like that.
And
And wars. We're quite good at killing ourselves.
I like all these creationist population projections as well, which the total number goes above the estimated number of atoms in the universe, and they're saying this is ridiculous. Go, yes, of course it's ridiculous, because you try even making that many people, you're not going to manage it. There isn't enough matter in the universe. But of course, none of this, either it doesn't occur to them, or it does occur to them, but they choose not to mention it because they know it's not going to occur to their audiences.
Or they just feel big and clever that they think they found a way to stump science.
That's true.
Using something generated by science.
I just say as well that Eric has a wonderful arm.
On
You don't
planet Earth,
get to see it very often, but it is quite nice.
would get crowded.
Behave.
I don't think we've been here for no 3 million years. Encyclopedia Britannica did an interesting study. They said, hey, if you were to go backwards in time from today's population, now our population growth rate today is 1.7%. They said, let's lower that down and only go back, have a population growth rate of 0.5% annually. If you go back in time at 0.5% annually, the result would be a handful of people 4,500 years ago. They say, on the other hand, if we were to go back 1 million years ago, and 1 million years ago is when the first ape stood upright and now declared himself human. Aha, the first human. And then made somebody else stand up.
Stop.
Did he really just say that?
Yes,
Yes,
he
he
really
did.
just said that. We were bipedal long before we were Homo sapiens.
Mm-hmm.
Homo erectus was the first upright walking ape. I don't know that I can't remember the dates for Homo erectus.
Yeah, and I also just say as well that this is about to come the actual figure that is supposed to have calculated from this. But why a growth rate of 0.5%? They've already they've said that it's Magnan's been lowering it from, was it 1.7% is the current growth rate? But there's a good reason why they picked that figure. It's because it suits their purpose. It produces a projection of a handful of people around the time of the flood. But there's no reason to think that that is a valid growth rate to extrapolate back through all of the past.
And he called him his wife and said, okay, you're going to be a human, I'm going to be a human, we're going to make humans. Okay, so they did that 1 million years ago.
It doesn't
And you're going to
work
have a
like that,
population growth rate of
Numbnuts.
0.01%. Little bitty insignificant number. That would mean at that rate it would be a doubling of the people every 7,000 years. So you start 1 million years ago with 2 people. 7,000 years later, you've now got 4. 7,000 years after that, you've now got 8. 7,000 years after that, you get 16. If you were to do this for 1 million years, an astonishing 142 doublings would take place.
Yeah, because no one
And there should be
dies
on
between
planet Earth
now
right
and then.
now 10 to the 43rd power. That's the number 10 with 43 zeros behind it. That's how many people would be here in 1 million years at that incredibly slow growth rate. No, we haven't.
First of all, I like this scenario whereby there can be a stable population of 2 for 7,000 years. Okay,
It
well,
depends whether or not you're talking about living things or rocks. You can have a stable population of 2 rocks for 7,000 years, because depending on the rock, ain't much going to change in 7,000 years.
yes, but then the rock population doesn't really increase, does it?
Well, you could have one rock fall and break into 2. So you'd have to talk with 2 really big rocks, and every 7,000 years they drop on something, or something falls on them, and they break into 2.
Maybe rocks aren't the best thing to be modelling populations with.
Well, it seems to be how he's done it.
Well, maybe. But, yeah, I think 10 to the 43 is, I think, probably more than the number of atoms in the Earth. So again, good luck trying that one out. Of course, it's much more feasible to have a population, a global human population of a couple of million, and that can stay constant almost indefinitely, providing nothing terrible happens. The growth rate can be 0, and that's still safe.
Yeah, what dumbass doesn't seem to realize is that the population will grow at an exponential rate until there's no longer any way to sustain a higher population, and at that point the population growth rate drops to 0.
Yeah.
And then the population is stable. For everyone who gets, if you average it out, for everyone who is born, someone dies. There's not enough resources to feed a growing population. But then
there's the point of looking at when you've used up all of these resources that you had. The population is going to start dwindling.
Exactly. And then we did a little something about, what was it? Well, say 10,000 years ago, we came up with a little thing called agriculture. That was probably more than 10,000, but something like that. Right. And then all of a sudden, the resources became much more abundant because we produced our own resources. So then the population growth rate would skyrocket. And then another thing, just a couple of 100 years ago, medicine.
Yeah, in terms of population growth rate, I've been through a mini modelling of what happens in the last few days. I've been ill with a cold. You probably can hear it in my voice still.
Yeah.
I woke up Friday morning thinking, I went to bed Thursday night thinking I'd be going to work Friday morning. Woke up on Friday morning, it's like, no, this isn't going to happen, because I felt rotten, because what had happened was the population of the virus within my body had built up and up and up, and then as my immune system was kicking in and recognising it and dealing with it, it then started taking its population back down, and I'm now on the degunging side of my cold. Thankful my mic mutes even, not mutes. You don't want to hear me use the mic. So it's exactly the same sort of thing, just in microcosm.
Yeah, and the reason why bacterial cultures don't just escalate out of all proportion and take over the world.
Yeah, it should be after 24 hours.
What should be after 24 hours? What the point at which?
The point at which bacteria would have been about the same biomass as the world.
Right. Doesn't
My
well
math
really,
is
isn't it, for us biologists?
We've been here for millions of years. The evidence is clear, only a few thousand years, okay? So the human population is a great way to show how long we've really been here. What about outer space, where some of you guys are at right now? Outer space is a great way to show how old the Earth is. Galaxies. Galaxies are spinning, okay? Now the inside stars, the stars that are on the inside of the galaxy, spin faster than the outside stars.
Actually, no, they don't.
Arms on the galaxy. We see these spiral arms on the galaxies, indicating they are less than billions of years old. But evolutionists want us to believe that these galaxies formed 20 billion years ago. Some only say 4.
Wait, you said 20.
Stop right there. Yeah, we've gone through this before, but evolution doesn't say anything about galaxies.
True.
No.
And also, those spiral patterns are just density waves. It's not like they're just shapes in the galaxy where all the stars are organized in some spiral pattern.
Isn't it the case as well?
Like,
I'd say it's a bit like smokers and buses. If you have a smoker waiting there for ages, no bus comes, and the moment they light up a cigarette, then 3 buses come at once.
Yeah.
What?
Still following the bus route.
Okay. But am I right in saying, Marty, that it's not true about the stars on the outside going around faster, that the universe doesn't corkscrew tighter and tighter? They actually have some kind of weird motion whereby stars on the outside of the galaxy migrate towards the centre and then back out again.
The spiral arms have nothing to do with the rate at which the stars are moving in different parts of the galaxy, and because it's not actually the stars that form this spiral shape, it's that they're basically density waves, like sound waves.
I didn't know sound was waving.
I'm always waving in a flirtatious manner.
Are you waving at the Norwegian?
I'm waving at anyone who'll be interested.
So I'm safe then. Yay.
14 billion. Okay, we'll say 14 billion years ago. Either way, because the inside stars are spinning faster than the outside stars, the galaxy should have spun out. They shouldn't have spiral arms on them like they have today. They should be one even, smooth, homogeneous mass of stars. But that's not what we see today. We still see spiral arms on our galaxies, indicating they're less than billions of years old. What about supernovas? Supernovas are stars that blow up, they die in our solar system, or excuse me, in our universe. Well, we've seen supernovas about every 30 years is how often the stars die that we've noticed, that we've seen. Well, if we've been here for billions of years, there should be lots of supernovas out there. Less than 300 of them.
We haven't been looking all that long.
We haven't seen the entire universe either.
And not all stars go supernova.
Around for billions of years. They've only been around a few thousand years. Supernovas are great examples. Jupiter, that's one of our planets, okay? Jupiter is cooling off. It loses heat twice as fast as it gains heat from the sun. So it's losing heat very, very rapidly. Well, you can't consistently lose heat until eventually you get cold. But Jupiter is still very hot. Well, how could it be
figure
losing
that
heat
one
for
out, moron.
billions of years and still be hot? It couldn't. But if Jupiter was created just a few thousand years ago, like the Bible teaches, now that's an explanation. That would explain why it's still hot. What about its moon Ganymede? It's very, very hot.
I don't want to hear any more. You have one job to do, Zulu.
I thought you were saying no there. So you got to speak up when you want to stop.
I am speaking up. Anyway, I'll move my mic a bit closer. What I like is that he's saying that it's losing heat, but it's still hot, therefore it can't be old. Well, he doesn't say how hot we would expect it to be at its formation, because it could well be that it was really, really, really hot in the past. He doesn't say, well, obviously he's assuming that it's cooling at a constant rate, or possibly at an exponential rate, but he doesn't say anything about it. But he doesn't actually put any numbers to it to actually show what the calculated consequences of an old solar system and a young solar system are. So really, he's not making any point whatsoever.
Indicated by the liquid motion in its core. It's got a very strong magnetic field. Ganymede should have cooled off solid billions of years ago, but it didn't, indicating it's less than billions of years old. The rings around Saturn are constantly
expanding. Hang on. Stop. Ganymede should have frozen solid. Did he just say that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think we need to do this. I know I'm overusing this, but I think we all need to do this together. Ganymede is pretty close to Jupiter, and it's subject to a little something called tidal forces caused by
gravity, you fucking retard.
That's a really good impression.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think there's also the fact, we said that the magnetic field is generated by liquid metal currents, and Womble would be the better person to ask, but I believe that that's no longer has to be the case. It could be that this seminar that Hovind is giving actually predates the discovery, but it's generally now accepted to be circulations in the Earth's mantle, which is not a liquid and is not metal. But yeah, minor point. It does rely on a certain amount of convection, certainly.
Saturn is losing its rings. Those rings are unstable. Well, you study the rings around Saturn, you see the formation of them, and you got to say, hey, those rings have not been there for billions of years. They
I
could
know.
have been, otherwise Saturn wouldn't
No
have
one
rings
says they
anymore.
were.
They would be gone. But it still got rings. To me, that's a great indication. Hey, fits with God's word. 6,000 years ago, God created the heavens and the earth. What about the moon? The moon goes around the earth.
Oh, no.
How many of you guys knew that already? You guys had that figured out? Okay, the moon goes around the earth. Yep. By the way, does
Edmund
anybody
Free
know
doesn't
its
know that,
official
or didn't
name?
know that.
Moon. That is correct. We call it moon. Okay, the moon. You guys are like, I don't know. Never thought of that. The moon goes around the earth, all right? Now, the moon is what causes our tides. The tides are because of the moon, okay? It's gravitational pull on the earth. Well, no big deal. So we got tides these days, but
Stop.
the moon is...
We should really get Eric Hovind to teach Bill O'Reilly.
You could almost rank them, couldn't you, in terms of stupidity based on what they, or what point in history they exist.
Yeah, that should be tough, actually. I mean, O'Reilly has said a lot of stupid things, but I don't know. When you factor in dishonesty, I really don't know.
There's a thought. Do you think we could do some kind of creationist grapevine education system? So we get Bill O'Reilly, who doesn't know what causes the tides. We get Eric Hovind to explain to him what causes the tides, and he'll believe it because they're both creationists. And he'll go, okay, fair enough. And then we get somebody else slightly more learned than Eric Hovind to teach Eric Hovind something, and then he teaches that to Bill O'Reilly. And then we get somebody else, you see what I mean? You can get them all to teach each other. That will work.
is getting farther and farther away from the earth. Guys, we're losing the moon! Now, don't worry about it. It's only a few inches per year. No big deal, okay? But you want me to believe that the moon and the earth are billions of years old? Now we've got a problem. Because you go backwards in time, let's see, if the moon is here and it's getting farther away, that means that it used to be closer to the earth. You go back in time and the moon would soon...
Stop. He's going to get this really, really wrong. Yes, the moon was close to the earth, but nowhere near as close as he's making out. In a nutshell, the moon formed due to what we call the giant impact. Hypothesis, I think. I don't know if it's called theory now or hypothesis, but very early on in the Earth's history, when it was kind of like a proto-Earth, he kind of mostly there, not quite fully there. It had a twin called Theia. Theia was about the size of Mars, and it hit Earth, or the Earth as it was then, at a glancing blow. It had to be glancing, otherwise it would have destroyed Earth. Theia got obliterated. The Earth pulled in its iron, and there was a debris ring around the Earth. Now, as the Earth started to recover and build up its crust again, this debris formed a giant molten blob of rock in space, molten rock in space, and that solidified into the moon. That's where the moon came from. He's talking arse.
But,
Yeah, but
I'll go
he's
on,
also under the impression that because the moon is now moving away from us at, what did he say, a couple of inches per year? I don't know if it's that much. But
Yeah, it's about the
he's
rate your
assuming that,
fingernails grow.
yeah, he's assuming a constant rate.
It's, yeah, well, the current rate is, I think, like 3.8 centimeters per year. A lot of creationists get that wrong and make it 3.8 inches, which is obviously
Yeah.
2.5 greater. But yes, and he is assuming
It's
a linear...
less than 2 inches per year. But the thing is, gravity is the only thing holding it, and that has a strength which depends on the square of the radius. So as the moon gets more distant, it accelerates.
Yeah.
Due
And
to
also-
angular momentum.
And also it's dependent on the arrangement of the continents, because the amount of tidal drag, which changes how quickly the Earth moves away, is dependent on how many land bars there are to intercept the tide, and so basically the rate, he's just modelling it as draw a straight line back in time. It's either going to work like that, it's either going to be an acceleration, or it could be getting further away and then closer to us, or whatever. It could be anything. I mean, we now know, Potter was done a video, that about 1 billion years ago the Earth was about 10% closer than it is now, which really isn't the same thing as skimming the Earth at all.
Soon, in less than billions of years, way less than 1 billion years, the moon would cause the tides on Earth to drown everything twice a day. That's how close it would be. Normally, we can only drown once a day. So that creates a serious...
Did anybody catch what date at which the tides would drown everything?
No, I didn't, sorry.
Was it 1 billion years? I can't remember. But you have to remember that there was no terrestrial land and no terrestrial life before about 440 million years, I think. And that's quite significantly sooner than the figure we've just been given. So nothing would be drowned. If anything, life would be quite happy swimming around in these big tides. Not that the tidal projection is accurate, of course.
Serious problem for life on Earth. You go back about 1.3 billion years, now you got a serious problem, because the moon is skimming the surface of the Earth, just above the surface of the Earth.
No,
about 1.3.
wrong. No, I already covered that. That's not what happened, you moron.
3 billion years ago. Well, that explains what happened to the tall dinosaurs. They must have got mooned to death. But so they had a serious problem with the moon being that close a billion years ago. Okay. What about comets? We got comets in our solar system. Comets leave a trail behind them. Anybody ever gotten to see a comet before? You ever seen one? Oh,
yes.
Really cool to get to see a comet come through and go around the sun. Well, the tail of the comet is debris getting blown off of the comet. Well, you can't consistently lose material until eventually it's all gone, okay?
Correct.
Well, we still have comets in our solar system.
Oh,
When
no.
they study comets, they say, well, at the rate
Correct.
that they're losing material, comets should last about 10,000 years.
Yes. Well,
Well,
depending
then I've
on
got
its
a
orbital
question.
period.
Yeah,
Yes.
how often it gets to the sun and how often
Why do
you
we
have
still
new
have
comets
comets
thrown
today?
into the inner solar system.
Okay,
Yeah.
did you catch his question there? If the
What
universe is...
question?
Yeah. How can there still be comets?
Because they form all the time.
Yeah. I think
Well,
also a lot of
no, they already have formed. They're out there,
Yeah.
but they need to have their orbits redirected somehow, so they fall in toward the sun, and
They need a
Then they
gravitational
will
kick from something.
Yeah.
yeah, and once that happens, yeah, they're screwed. They're gonna essentially burn up.
if they're lucky, they'll
But-
crash into something like Jupiter and have a good contained stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
but it's not the same comets that have been coming for billions of years.
yeah, I don't know if his projection of 10,000 years is based on it, but a lot of creationist projections of the ages of comets are based upon the idea that they lose material at the same rate. I think this idea of people think of something tearing
Yeah.
into space and rather like, I don't know, I don't really terribly
Yeah,
fancy,
they
like
only
an
lose
aeroplane
material
breaking
when they're
up.
close to the sun.
Yeah, people think that the material jets off behind the comet in the direction that it's travelling, but it's actually solar wind that blows material off the surface of it, and so the tail will actually be pointing directly away from the sun, whichever direction that might be, whether or not it's with or against the direction of the comet.
We shouldn't have any if evolution is true. There should be no comets at all. They would have been gone.
Stop. We've said this before. I'm going to say it again. Biology has nothing to do with planetary science or geology. It needs to be said again.
We'd be stopping the video a lot if we were to bring it up.
I know, but I just wanted to say it again.
And the earth. David the psalmist said, the heavens will declare the glory of God. And they do
Good for him.
exactly that. They declare God's glory. You know, the evolution theory has the sun and the stars evolving before the earth. God said he created the earth before.
Just go on. It's been said. It's been said.
Yeah.
They got it
Breathe,
backwards.
kid, breathe.
Actually, when you study it out, just about every single thing that evolution claims is directly opposed to God's word. The Bible says he made the oceans before the land. Evolution says he made the land before the oceans. The Bible says light came before the sun. Evolution.
What? Even if we ignore the whole misrepresentation of what evolution is, it doesn't say that God made the land before the oceans. It doesn't mention God.
I know. I can't find the word, sorry.
Evolution says the sun came before the light. Bible says the fruit trees were before the fish. Evolution has it backwards. Evolution has just about every single element diametrically opposed to what God's word says. It is
Because
not
science has been put together
fast,
by
dude.
people that know what they're doing, and the Bible was put together by sheep herders.
Yeah.
thing. Evolution and creation do not go together. They're like oil and water. They just simply cannot mix. You know, creation says that man brought death into this world.
What's the point
Evolution
of this?
says death is what actually brought man into this world. Creation says God made man. Evolutionists are trying to tell us, atheists are telling us these days, that man is the one who actually created God.
Stop right there. If I could, I would like to point everyone back to the beginning of this video where he basically said that there are Christians that accept evolution. So now he's trying to bring atheism into it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my vey.
He comes from Planet Stupid
Evolution
in the Moron
is
verse,
opposed.
and is in
What's Planet
fact a member
Stupid?
of Homo Fuckwitters.
And what day was Planet Stupid created?
The minus one day.
To creation. They are opposite as you can get. You can't mix the two together. Bible says, speak to the earth, and it shall teach thee. What about things here on earth? What does the earth say about its own age? What evidence
Stop.
can we look at?
I'm a geologist. I've learnt to speak to rocks or listen to them effectively. And being able to look at them, the earth says it's 4.6 billion years old. Go away, Hovind.
What is the youngest evidence of the age of the earth that can now become a limiting factor on the age of the earth?
Stop.
Well, I'll give you...
Oh, this is
You
going
want
to be
the
fun.
youngest? You want the youngest evidence, or the youngest geological evidence for the age of the Earth? Then go to Hawaii, go to Iceland, find some lava which is just solidified, and assume that the Earth was created a mere few seconds ago. Again, this is the problem of looking for the youngest factor.
You need to look for the oldest factor, and the
Yeah.
oldest rocks on planet Earth are in Greenland, and they are metamorphic. And from what I can remember, there's some evidence that they are a metamorphic conglomerate, so it's reworked material. Possibly, some people are trying to work out if it's from an accretion prism or not. But they're 3.5 billion years old. That's the oldest material, sort of known rock material on Earth. And of course, we've got dates from that have come from meteorites that point to the 4.6 billion years for the solar system.
Yeah, it's one of the things that actually they're trying to find the age of the Earth. The oldest, as I said, the oldest rocks on Earth aren't 4.6 billion years. I think they're maybe between 3.6 and 4. I'm looking carefully through my notes to try and find out what I learned.
Yeah, I know the trouble is with looking for stuff from the formation of the Earth, kind of when you're kind of assuming that it's, you know, a rough enough special rocks have bashed together to make an Earth-like thing in the Earth orbit, is that because we're on a geologically active planet, the planet is constantly reworking, so we're not going to really find that evidence of the first rock on Earth because it's been reworked. Plate tectonics has got a lot to answer for in that regards, because it is completely reworking the planet's surface all the time.
Yeah, so we try and look for asteroids created with the Earth and haven't been rejected to the process. Okay,
Give you
we've
an
got on
example.
to
Earth has a magnetic field around it. Now, the magnetic field around Earth is getting weaker because magnets over time lose their magnetism. You ever have
Fucking
a
magnets, how do
magnet
they
that sticks
work?
good? And it's there. Over a few years, what happens to it? It starts falling off, yeah. You first buy the thing, it'll hold about a ream of paper to the refrigerator. BAM!
The Earth is not
And
a
few years later, you can't put up your one
ferromagnet.
sheet of homework. I mean, it just keeps on sliding down. Magnets lose their magnetism. Same with Earth's magnetic field. It's getting weaker. In the last 150 years, it's declined by about 10%.
Yeah, and if you
Almost
take into
40%
account the
in the
fact that
last-
we are probably starting to go through the early phases of polar flipping, and I've got to go.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
See you, Mumble.
See you.
Lucky person.
I'll quickly pick up where she left off. Yeah, I mean, okay, we haven't had any evidence of a polar flip within human recorded history, to my knowledge anyway. And so we've yet, well, I'd like to see it actually. It'd be nice to see it happen. It'd probably be slightly dangerous. But we have plenty of evidence that the Earth's magnetic field does flip, and we also have no reason to believe that the Earth's magnetic field is going to run down. As I said earlier, it's based on convection currents in the Earth's mantle. And we don't know an awful lot about how they work, but there's still plenty of heat inside the Earth, and so they are going to continue. And the mantle itself is not going to get an awful lot less magnetic. It contains more or less the same composition of minerals that it always has done.
Last 1,000 years. It's getting a whole lot weaker than it used to be. Well, if the magnetic field is getting weaker, that means that it used to be stronger. Exactly right. The magnetic field used to be a whole lot stronger than what it currently is today. Well, how far back can you go before that starts causing a problem? First of all,
How
we
low
should realize
can you go?
the Earth cannot be billions of years old because the magnetic field is getting weaker. You go back too far in time and you got some serious issues with Earth because of Earth's magnetic field. Also, this points out that carbon dating won't work because the magnetic field is getting weaker. Probably only about 25,000 years max for the age of the Earth. But it shows us carbon dating
The
can't work.
magnetic
I know
field
you've
strength
heard-
has been fluctuating for a long time, as far as we can trace it back, actually.
Can I also ask, maybe, because I'm not too sure, but how come the magnetic field influence decay rates?
No, I think what he's talking about is if the Earth's magnetic field were a lot stronger, it would deflect a lot more cosmic rays, and so the amount of carbon-13 generated in the atmosphere
Yeah.
would start to change.
Okay,
I like,
makes sense.
I like the fact that he said that, he didn't go as far as Billy Crone, but he said there would be some serious problems if the Earth's magnetic field was so strong. He didn't actually say what they were. I don't know if he didn't have the balls to go the full Billy Crone and say that it would either melt or vaporize planet Earth. I'd like to know what these problems would be. But also, I would say that it's well known that, well, it's not well known, but it is well documented in the scientific literature that carbon dating becomes unreliable after about 22,000 years ago, and that's not actually anything to do with the magnetic field, it's to do with changes in the Earth's orbit around the Sun. That there's no reason why you'd even attempt to carbon date something older than the theoretical 60,000 years anyway.
Radiometric dating proves the Earth is billions of years old. No, it doesn't, okay? I don't have time to go into all the carbon dating elements right now, but let me just tell you, carbon dating...
Whoa.
He said-
Carbon dating. No one says carbon dating proves that the Earth is billions of years old.
Well,
Yeah.
creation saying that people do.
Well, creationists say that, but
Yeah, and he,
No,
Yeah, that's-
no wonder creationists don't trust carbon dating, because they don't know how it works. Whenever they try to they just fuck it up.
and you
Yeah.
know, he flips.
I guess I think Eric learned about carbon dating from his dad, and we've all seen the potholer video, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Isn't there any in it?
We can't carbon date that, Hovind. There's no fucking carbon in it.
Yeah, well, as I just said,
I love that.
the maximum theoretical distance you can go back is 12 half-lives, which is about 60,000 years. But as I said, it's now well understood that you can't go back really more than 22,000 years before it starts becoming erroneous.
Okay? They carbon dated a mammoth. The one part of the mammoth was 15,000 years old. Another part of the same mammoth was 21,000 years old. They carbon dated another mammoth. The front half was 29,000 years old. The back half was 44,000 years old.
So,
Slow birth?
first of all, we don't actually, well, it gets very confusing. I haven't got the sources in front of me, and Potholes addressed some of these claims before. Sometimes it turns out they're not, in fact, dating the same animals at all. They're dating two completely separate ones. The other problem is that within any carbon dating sample, you're going to get variation, and that variation typically follows what's called a normal distribution, whereby the different dates that you'll get out will be clustered around the actual date, and then there will be lots of statistical anomalies that become progressively more and more spread out. If you're happy to choose an anomalously high and anomalously low result, then you can quite easily show that there is massive variation within those dates. The thing is, if you actually do these statistics on them, you can show that they're clustered around a particular mean, and then that gives you good reason to accept that as the proper age. So either he's being disingenuous in showing results from different specimens, or he's being disingenuous by cherry-picking data which make it look less reliable than it is.
Wow! That was tough for those few thousand years. Man! No, carbon dating, the bottom line is, doesn't work. And because of the variables in Earth's magnetic field, that's just one more element to show us that carbon dating simply does not work. Some people say, well, the Earth has reversed its magnetism. No, it hasn't. They try to teach this in textbooks. It has not.
Yeah, it
What
has.
they find on the ocean floor is what they're referring to. They find areas of strong magnetism and weak magnetism.
Right, so...
They don't ever find a...
Yeah, in reverse direction.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'll just say that, first of all, if you're happy to concede that, then you have to concede that the Earth's magnetic field has fluctuated, which goes against your point that it's decaying. However, well, where to begin? Okay, the reason why basically how this was calculated, the magnetic stripes across the Atlantic, they got a nice big cargo ship, I think it was both measuring the flatness of the sea bottom, but also they put in a magnetic sensor in the water and dragged it along and measured the total magnetic field. The reason why it gets stronger and weaker is because you have the Earth's magnetic field itself, which it's picking up, which is relatively very large, and then you have the magnetism in the rocks at the seabed, which is relatively weak. And in places where that magnetic field is in line with the Earth's own magnetic field, then the two are added together, and so you get a stronger magnetic signature. Where the rocks on the seabed have opposite polarity to the Earth's magnetic field, then the two are subtracted, and so you get a weaker result. If you don't believe any of that, then you can quite happily go and dig up some pieces of basalt, take them along to a lab, test their magnetism, and you can see that it really is flipped relative to the modern day magnetic field of the Earth. So you don't have to, even if you don't believe my explanation for why it's stronger, weaker, you can actually get some absolute fixes on this polarity.
Yeah.
The place where it has literally reversed its magnetism. They say it goes through these cycles where it reverses. No, no, no. They find strong and weak magnetism. And that's simply because hot basalt loses its magnetism. So that's what they're really seeing, is areas of strong magnetism and weak magnetism.
What?
Hot basalt losing its magnetism. There's something called the Curie point, and it's significant in two respects. One is that, I should say the Curie point is about 400 degrees Celsius, if I remember rightly, but it's basically the point at which that rock becomes truly solidified. And it's the point at which it becomes a relatively sealed system with regard to radioactive elements inside it, but it also becomes the point at which the mineral magnetite becomes locked in its polarity. So it's true that if you heat up a rock enough, not only will the atomic clock reset in it, but you will also reset any magnetism that's in it. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that happens an awful lot. the stuff at the bottom of the sea floor, certainly on the surface, never gets hot again after its formation. So it's a nice little idea, but Eric's talking about a scenario that simply isn't found in the natural world.
What about this? The Earth today is spinning at about 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, but we've got a problem. It's slowing down. The Earth is gradually getting slower and slower.
Oh, no.
That's a problem. Matter of fact, several times they have added seconds to the clock. They've had to add 1 second to the clock to have the clocks accurate. Wow, well, we're slowing down. Not by much. And if you go back just 6,000 years, no big deal. Adam and Eve might have had like a 24-and-a-half-hour day, okay? No big deal if creation is true. But you want me to believe that the Earth has been here for billions of years? Now we got a problem. Because the winds on Earth are created by the Coriolis effect because of the Earth spinning. Well, you go back in time and get the Earth spinning a little bit faster. You go back just a few million years, the Earth would have been spinning so fast that the winds from the Coriolis effect would be 500 miles an hour. That explains what happened to the dinosaurs. They got blown off, man. They couldn't handle that kind of wind. What about...
Where are these calculations? I want to see them. We can actually get fixes on how fast the Earth is spinning. What was the exact figure at which the date at which the Coriolis effect would be that great? I didn't quite catch it, but I know that we have. I should first of all explain how we know, because I think it's quite interesting. There are corals which are no longer alive today. They died at the same time as the dinosaurs, but they actually put on a daily growth band. The little creature on the top will move up slightly and it'll leave a little layer of calcium carbonate underneath it. And to do one of these every day, and they gradually get bigger and smaller as the seasons change because the water's slightly warmer and it's a nicer place to live, so they can grow a bit more. And so you can actually look at these fossilized corals, and you can tell from looking at them how many days there were in a year. They like to grow in zigzag shapes. They're grown on the equator as well because they track the sun as it changes its angle throughout the year. But you can use those clocks, and so you can work out how many days there were in a year, and if you cross-reference that with whatever dating methods are appropriate, then you can find out how many days there were in a year. And if I remember rightly, around the time of the dawn of the dinosaurs, which is the mid to late Triassic, there were about 400 days in the year. So it's not an awful lot, it's not an awfully significant increase. Again, also the rate at which the Earth is slowing down is variable on the same factors that cause the lunar recession, mainly because it's all one big system. But
it's conservation of angular momentum in the system.
Yeah, but we can get handles on how much the Earth is slowing down, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to be anything like in the same league that Hovind is proposing.
No, it's you're right. It's related to the recession of the moon, and since the moon is accelerating away from us, we haven't had a constant rate of change.
Yeah.
But I feel like I have to point out, and I don't know why I didn't say anything. It was probably so stupid that it just didn't register. He said that the Earth used to be spinning faster. So Adam and Eve had a 24-and-a-half-hour day.
That was a guess. That was a pulling a number out of the air, even by his own admission.
Yeah, but shouldn't it be shorter?
That is true. That is, I completely failed to register that. That is quite true. I did not think about that.
Shouldn't you have said 23-and-a-half? I mean, then the Earth would have been spinning faster, but... oh.
Yes, you're quite right, and I can't believe I missed it either. Oh, dearie me, Eric.
What about the Sahara Desert in Africa? The Sahara Desert is growing. Well, how long has it been growing? It's got a prevailing wind pattern causing it to grow about 4 miles a year. You go backwards in time from what it is today to what it used to be.
Hasn't been constant.
The Sahara Desert started growing about 4,000 years ago. Doesn't that fit perfectly with the creation worldview?
No, it
well,
doesn't.
Again, this is a linear model of its growth rate. And even if it didn't exist 4,000 years ago, so what? If the world didn't have a Sahara Desert, it wouldn't catch fire and explode. It doesn't need to have a desert there at all.
It does. Because the creation worldview
No,
says
it doesn't,
6,000
Eric.
years ago, God created the heavens and the earth. 4,400 years ago, there was a flood that destroyed the world. It's real hard to have a desert underneath of a flood, okay? They don't call them deserts then, okay? So
You're quite right, Eric, and that's what's so exciting about the geological record, because there are desert sand deposits across enormous areas that can be found in every continent of the world. And it's interesting that there appears to have been a particularly hot, dry, desertous period right in the middle of the global deluge. Unfortunately, you're not going to mention that on this occasion, but he's absolutely right in saying that you can't have a desert under a flood.
the desert had to start after the flood. You guys with me? Okay. So the desert has to be less than 4,400 years old, and that evidence fits perfect with what God's Word already told us. We have oil in the ground that is under tremendous pressure. Scientists that study the rock
couldn't possibly have formed in 6,000 years.
20,000 psi, 20,000 pounds per square inch of pressure. They study the rock over the top of the oil, and they find, you know what? The rock could only handle that amount of pressure for about 10,000 years. After 10,000 years, the rock would crack, releasing all of its pressure. Well, then why do we still have oil pressure today? If the Earth is billions of years old, if oil formed...
I wish I'd taken down that reference, actually. I might have to look at this seminar afterwards and find out how they calculated that, because I'm really intrigued.
Yeah, I'd like to know where he got that from, too.
Yeah.
I don't see the relevance.
Maybe it is true, maybe it's just, maybe it is absolutely true that, I don't know, of course, different rocks are going to have different strength thresholds. It could be that that oil is just percolating its way up, and it's only the bits that we can now mine that have actually got that far, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, just quickly welcome 13 heathens to the panel.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hello, 13.
Hopefully I'm transmitting okay.
Yep, loud and clear.
Yep.
So, just carry on.
millions of years ago, like evolution claims, well then, why do we still have oil pressure in the world today? I believe it's because plants and animals got buried in the flood 4,400 years ago and literally got squished into oil. Yeah. And we still have oil pressure today because God's Word is true. It's only about 4,400 years old after the flood. You know, they say petrification takes millions of years to do. No, it doesn't. Petrification can take place.
I'd think that the flood would have less pressure involved in terms of the weight being put on things if you're just laying down sand and whatnot, as opposed to actually compressing under stone.
By that, you can tell how long it's been growing. Guess what? The Great Barrier Reef has been growing.
Oh, can we just stop there for a moment? I'm not sure. Did something happen to the video there? It said skipping over damage. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. It skipped over. It must have just been the download that was a corrupted part of it. That's
fine. But yes, first of all, the word petrification, and as far as I'm aware, it doesn't mean anything in scientific terms. I think this is Hovind Junior stuff that Potholer has picked on in the past, which is whereby things like the miner's hat that got dropped down a well appear to turn to stone in the space of a couple of hundred years or whatever. If we're going to talk about fossilization or remineralization or permineralization, then as a general rule that does tend to take a very long period of time. Admittedly, of course, that's not something that you can necessarily demonstrate unless you've got a long period of time at your disposal, but it's quite difficult to make it happen under laboratory conditions in a short period of time. And so therefore it's fairly reasonable to assume that it does take a long time. When it comes to other things, like the fossilized miner's hat, I'm sure everybody's seen the Potholer video, so I won't play it too much, but it's not
it's a totally different process. It's a totally different process. That's the same process that makes your stalagmites and stalactites.
Yep, it's called concretion, and it's why you get scale build-up in your tap if you live in a hard water area and so on. And that does happen very quickly, but that's not the same thing.
And can I also mention that we are in fact featured right now, so if anyone who's watching that's outside the chat, please feel free to come in and join the chat. We're debunking Eric Hovind's How Old Is It? And feel free to rate and subscribe.
Hey.
Join us. Oh, wait, not a zombie movie, sorry.
Interesting. If the Earth has been here for 4.6 billion years, why hasn't coral grown all the way around Australia a couple times?
Stop!
Okay, maybe it is a zombie movie.
The coral doesn't like to grow everywhere. Coral likes to grow in waters of very specific temperatures, and it likes to grow in still water. Ocean currents tend to snap coral stems, and so that kills it. So, I mean, for a start, the Great Barrier Reef is enormous. It's also true that conditions on Earth today are particularly unfavourable for the growth of coral. It's particularly cold compared to most of the Earth's geological past. But you can't, again, first of all, I don't know as the Great Barrier Reef is growing at any particular rate. In fact, it's almost certainly declining thanks to human intervention. But again, it's just one of these fine-tuned numbers, smash them together as hard as you can, and then come out with a ridiculous consequence of them, and then say because it didn't happen, the Earth has to be young. The same happen again and again.
I think this is evidence that fits perfectly with the creation worldview, which says about 6,000 years ago is when God created the heavens and the earth. 4,400 years ago, there was
think
a flood
a lot
that
of
destroyed the
stupid
world,
things.
and now here we are today. And the Great Barrier Reef is only 4,200 years old. Niagara Falls is eroding backwards. It's consistently eroding away at the rock ledge. When you study Niagara Falls, you'll find out it's only been eroding a 7.5-mile gorge, and they say about 9,900 years is the age that they came up with for Niagara Falls.
Stop for a second, please. With Niagara Falls, though, they actually have people that go out there and repair the falls every year. They spend millions of dollars on it. Yeah.
How do they sort of divert the water while they do those repairs, or what?
Honestly, I have no clue. Years ago, we went on a vacation to Niagara Falls, and we learned a bit about it, but that was years and years ago. I couldn't tell you today.
Okay. First of all, I like the fact that that projection was 9,900 years, which is a sort of a big 3,900 slice that's missing from... oh no, but I suppose it must be post-flood, so that's a 5,400 missing slice of time according to Hovind Junior's model. But more importantly, again, so what? Niagara Falls does not have to have always been there. It could be that Niagara Falls just started out as a regular river and the waterfall that created it has slowly eroded backwards. It doesn't mean that without Niagara Falls, everything falls apart. There cannot be an Earth without it. It's a ridiculous assumption.
So one flood in there, and that makes up about half of it. And now the river has been eroding backwards since then. So yeah, I would say Niagara Falls is probably about 4,400 years old, not millions or billions of years old. It couldn't have been. Guys, the evidence of the Earth being young is obvious, and we look for the young coins. We don't look for the old ones. We look for the young evidences, not the old ones, okay?
Reselect our evidence.
Yeah.
Oceans today
Stop.
are 3.
If it's so obvious, when are you going to get around to presenting it? Because, I mean, nothing you've said so far is anything.
Yeah.
It's just, well, it's stupid. That's something, I guess, but...
Why present when you can assert?
Oh, good point. Good point.
Salt. They could easily go from fresh water to 3.6% salt in less than 5,000 years. How come the salt content in the oceans?
This is the same thing again. Well, first of all, we're assuming, again, the same problem that they just calculate the Earth's current, the ocean's current salinity, the rate at which it's changing, and then extrapolate back. But again, even if that were true, and there is no reason to think that, there are plenty of reasons to think that salt is being taken out of the oceans by various means, particularly landlocked seas drying up and creating vast salt pans, such as the ones in Utah, the Dead Sea, and so on. But again, even if the oceans mysteriously ran out of salt 5,000 years ago, that isn't necessarily going to be a problem. It could well be that life has had to evolve to cope with that increase in salinity in recent years. It hasn't, but it could well be that that is the case. An Earth without a salty ocean, again, doesn't spontaneously combust and explode into thousands of pieces?
I don't know. I think there might be another angle on this.
Fits consistently with the
I think he might have been better off to claim that it was all fresh water to begin with, and the salt was added later with a big cosmic salt shaker that would cover the flood and fresh and salt water mixing.
creation worldview and not with the evolutionary worldview. Because if evolution is true and the world's been here for millions of years, the ocean should be kind of like the Dead Sea right now. You shouldn't even be able to get in those things, man. That's how bad they should be, the amount of mineral content in the oceans. What about caves? You guys ever gone in a cave and gone spelunking? Gone into a cave, they got these stalactites and stalagmites. That is so much fun. Some of you guys are like, you're a geek. Okay, but I love going into caves and checking that stuff out. The problem is, a lot of people teach that the caves took millions of years to form.
I think he was born in one.
They say that just a couple inches of a stalactite take 1,000 years to form. Really? 1,000 years for just a couple inches. Okay? Well, here are some 50-inch long stalactites hanging underneath the Lincoln Memorial. Excuse me, the Lincoln Memorial was built in 1922.
Okay, can we stop?
Yes, I knew
Did
that.
they build the stalactites?
No, they're not stalactites.
No, I'm saying even if they were stalactites, is he claiming that they were built at the same time as the memorial? The sentence makes no sense.
No, I think he's trying to show they had to form since the memorial was built. Are you saying they're not stalactites?
I don't think so. I remember someone covered this. But it's
certainly two things that come to my mind. One is that they might not be calcium carbonate stalactites. They could well be calcium sulfate if they're derived from plaster or gypsum or something like that.
Yeah.
That tends to dissolve and precipitate much more quickly. The thing about those stalactites is that they're very long and very thin, and the ones that form in caves, as a general rule, tend to be very short and very wide. And the reason almost certainly being that water evaporates much more slowly in a cave system because the air is very humid, it's trapped, it can't go anywhere, whereas the Lincoln Memorial has quite drafty basins underneath it and water evaporates much more quickly. If you actually look at the amount of material, if you were to cut them off and weigh them, and dry them and weigh them, you'll probably see that the ones under the Lincoln Memorial are actually much, much lighter. They have less material than the ones in caves, and that's why, and that's another evidence that they do take long periods of time to form in caves, is that it's the amount of material, not just the length of them, that takes a long time to accumulate.
Or was it? They knew Lincoln was going to show up here. Oh, yeah. Knew what was going on. No, stalactites and stalagmites don't take millions of years to form. They actually form very, very quickly. They shut down a cave, a mine where they were digging up for coal. They shut down the coal mine, went back 55 years later, and found a fully formed stalactites and stalagmite cave. Huge, huge area in just 55 years. The TV fountain up in Wyoming. I got to go to school in Wyoming at Jackson Hole Bible College, and this TV fountain began just 100 years ago. And now it's huge. Absolutely massive, okay?
So,
at the current rate of erosion...
The thing about that is that the water that's coming out of that is quite hot, and so it dissolves a lot more than cold water does in a cave. And then, of course, once it gets to the surface, it cools and the minerals precipitate out much more quickly. That's why that is formed at such a ridiculously high rate. In cave systems, the temperature gradients are much smaller, which is why you get much slower things forming. There was also
the continent.
Actually, if you can excuse me for 1 second. The calcium hydroxide has been converted to calcium carbonate by contact with carbon dioxide in the environment, and that even old concrete rich in calcium carbonate is capable of forming stalactites rapidly.
That is also very true, very chemically found. There was a favourite science project in America that I read about, whereby a school pupil built, or rather grew, stalactite. Some of you may have done this, where you get a dish of salt water and it wicks up a piece of string, and then string is drooped over a cardboard box, or whatever, and where the water drops off the bottom of the string, you get a stalactite forming. And he claimed that because he'd managed to grow, I don't know, 2 inches of stalactite in the space of a few days, this proved an old Earth. That's all well and good. The really awful detail of the story was that he won the prize for the best exhibit at that science fair. When really the science teacher should have known that salt is obviously not what is found in most cave stalactites. It is in fact calcium carbonate, which is a lot less soluble, and so therefore will form stalactites a lot more slowly.
Should have eroded flat 14 million years ago. In 14 million years, you should have no continents left, only water because of the erosion.
What?
Well, I see a problem.
That's uplift.
Did he say there would be no continents left?
Yes.
Because of erosion. Does he ever heard of the deposition?
Yeah, admittedly, this is kind of something which I think occurs to a lot of people. They hear about erosion in school and they think to themselves, well, you continue that ad infinitum, you run out of content. Yes, of course, there are things that refresh the surface. Most of the eroded material is deposited on what's called continental shelf, which is part of the continental crust, which is around the margins of the land masses. It's results in very shallow seas, and that's where sediment tends to build up, and that's what most of the rock that we find today are. And then those in turn can be uplifted to create new land masses. Simple.
There, we've got rock 300 times older than that, still above sea level. Look, it's obvious. The world is young, not old. How come the very first forms
No,
of
it's
writing
obvious that you're an
appeared just about
idiot.
5,000 years ago?
Oh, no, wait a minute.
Not millions of
I'm just reading that there. Did that just say 14 million years, and then he said there was a rock 300 times older than that?
Yes.
And then he says, it's obviously 5,000 years old.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Consistency fail.
If you're a creationist, or follow them, apparently.
Yeah.
of years ago. How come the oldest language that can be reconstructed is already modern and sophisticated? Where's our evolution of language? We don't have that today.
Stop. They didn't write languages down until, what was it, like 9,000 years ago or something like that?
Yeah, 10.
The first written language. So we don't know anything about language before then.
We have
Our year
pictograms.
2000 was the year 4700.
Yeah, that doesn't really tell us much.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, I believe that there are historical records that go back only about 6,000 years, which fits perfectly with the creation world view. The Earth is not millions or billions of years old. I'm sorry. It's not. The evidence is in. The Earth is young. You say, well, what about the dinosaurs? I thought they did live 75 million years ago. Ooh, that's a good question. What about the dinosaurs? We'll have to talk about that in another session. But for now, let's close with this. The evidence for a young Earth greatly outweighs any evidence for an old Earth.
Bullshit!
Thank you guys for being here tonight.
No.
It's over?
Yes, it's over.
Yes.
Oh,
He
it's
might
not
have
over
a
yet.
point there.
Down.
He might have a point with that last statement. Because bullshit does weigh more than fact.
I don't know, have you seen a textbook these days? You need a lot of bullshit.
Well, was there not that creationist textbook which spoke about the Loch Ness Monster?
Heard about that one.
Yeah.
The Loch Ness Monster is real now.
Yes, according to this creationist textbook.
And there's a T-Rex in the Amazon, apparently.
But with no physical, tangential, or photographic records of this.
The legend of that's been going around since, what, the 1920s, I think.
T-Rex lived in North America, so
I think it was since
I just
cocaine.
think that's pretty interesting.
All right.
Actually, the stories of the Loch Ness Monster, only the only records that we have of these stories of sightings of the Loch Ness Monster strangely go back no further than the first King Kong film.
Mhm.
And indeed, this is absolutely true. And the oldest record that we do have of a sighting of the Loch Ness Monster, the man who saw it described it as being like one of the dinosaurs out of King Kong.
And I think they have found that most of the folk that have seen the Loch Ness Monster were drunk at the time.
Yeah, but that's just
Well,
Scotland.
considering where they live, I mean,
Well, the guy that took the first photo a couple of years back on his deathbed admitted not only that it was a fake, but how he did it.
Yeah.
Most of them have admitted they're fakes or they're just... Anyway, I think we can start to wrap up there. So
Yeah.
any more thoughts on Eric Hovind?
he's a
Idiot.
moron.
Why was he born so beautiful?
I don't know. I think there is one comment that should be made, which is part of why I wanted to jump in here, which is that he's pretty well abandoned all this lately to go with Ten Brutenkate's
Yeah.
weird apologetic approach. And the funny thing is, if you've listened to any of Sai's lectures, he's actually basically said that you can't go at it from science and you can't go with this. He's basically countered himself, another apologist this is, most of Eric's old shtick.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone, for turning up for this. I
My pleasure.
hope you've all enjoyed it in some weird sadistic way.
And thanks for letting me sit in.
The public service.
Yes. We're doing it for the public good, this. So just to let everyone know, the show will be uploaded to the podcast and to my YouTube channel. All the links are down below for all the information you need. And this is our last show before Christmas. We are back on the 30th, aren't we, Kitch?
Yes, the 30th for our end of year wrap up, and we'll be announcing on that show the best moment of Tool in 2012.
Yes, so
Hey.
if you go to the poll option in the chat room, you can vote on our best moment from 2012. Has there been any more votes? Yes, there
No.
has. Yes, there has. And Kitchen
I have to
Mortimer
refresh it.
Pony and Puppy Turtle is still in the lead,
Hey!
even ahead of Matt Dillahunty's appearance.
What did you say? Puppy Turtle easily beats Dillahunty.
Yep, so I think you guys were talking about doing an End of the World show.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Like I said, I won't be around to do that, so maybe Kitch might be able to host that if you want to do an improvised End of the World.
End of a party.
Yes.
That's my suggestion. Bring out the booze.
Yes, and also to let you know, we'll be back in the new year on the 13th, and Mr. David Silverman is our guest there, and I think don't think I need to tell anyone who that is.
Tides go in, tides come out. You can't explain that.
Yes.
Oh my god, I'm dealing with a moron.
Yeah.
So I say thank you all, thank you everyone for turning up, and please rate, subscribe. We've got the podcast, the YouTube, and any final words from my co-panelists tonight.
No, I'll just
Have a good
repeat,
Christmas.
Eric is stupid.
Yes. There we go.
A Happy New Year.
Yes, everyone, have a great Christmas and a Happy New Year. We'll be seeing you then. Thanks for tuning in.
Happy Newton, everyone.
Yes, axial tilt is the reason for the season, remember that. So good night.
End of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. Have a good one.
Alright, good night everyone.
Bye.
So, yeah.
Bye.